So, Doug,
You gave me quite an introduction there.
it was yeah. That's all about you. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your marine art? I saw a little image that was up that was in place of your Zoom image. So can you give us a little bit of insight on it?
Sure. Well, the marine art started with through pottery. I come through Sacramento High School, Sac City, and Sac State,
Wow.
and started out just throwing pots and looking around and thinking, especially when I got into Sac City and seeing a lot of the just great artwork, pottery that was going on there. I worked with Ruth Rip on there, and Bob Brady and Peter Vandenberg. And I thought, well, gee, there's a lot of beautiful pottery, and I wanted to start making sculptures that fit on in a functional way. And sort of a long story short, the marine theme kind of found me, and I came up with a mug that had a whale tail for a handle, just very innocently. And so it involved having a pottery and a sculptural element to it, and the tail just kept growing, and it went into whales and dolphins and manta rays and sea lions and sharks. I do the originals out of ceramic, and then finish them very finely and even spray them with a Bondo, and then they go to a foundry where they're cast in bronze.
Goodness. A very I would think a tedious process, but I think somebody who works with that, you get used to it, and
Oh
it's just
yeah,
like second nature.
yeah, it is second nature, and it is involved. And some people say, "What now? What are you doing?" Because it looks like I'm cutting it up or breaking it, but it's all planned and it all comes out at the end. It's seamless and flowing, so it all works.
And when you got into making marine art, like, did that happen while you were at school, or was it a little bit afterwards?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was teaching high school at Sacramento High, the same one I went to, and
Wow,
some of
it's
the
full
students.
circle.
Isn't that interesting? Yes, yes. And some of the students had. I'd always bring in a video from, even if it was science, maybe some kind of nature. I think of Yosemite or lions or different kinds of animals. And one of my students said, "Hey, you got to bring in this one of whales and dolphins." And so I thought, well, okay, so I brought it into the room, and we're watching it. Well, of course, I'm watching it like 6 times a day, and I see
Yeah.
these whales. I see these whales, kicking their tails up and swimming around. And I thought, well, gee, a whale is just a flat cylinder with a slab cut out that looks like a fluke. And so I started making flukes and putting them around the room. And after class one day, I was throwing some mugs, and I looked up at the tail, and I go, oh, gee, that'll work. And it came together. So that was an accident. And then at that time, there were some cuts to the budget. And so I started making mugs like crazy. And there was a lady, I have to tell you this story. There's a lady in Bodega Bay, and I walked in there, and she goes, "Oh, look, a whale tail mug." And anyway, it looks like, see if we can there. That's what it looks like.
Oh,
That's the large size. Have you ever seen one?
I've never seen one of
No.
those. That's awesome.
See, a whale would, like it dives like this. And the first ones went on sideways, but when it goes on like this, your hand fits in. It's actually very ergonomic, and it fits like. And she goes, "Oh, whale tail mugs, make more of those." So it found me, and from there, I got involved with very high-end craft galleries, and they would have shows, and I'd see these people that had artwork, bronzes and dolphins, which I was now making out of ceramic, but they were cast out of bronze, and I had no idea what to, and so I said, "Oh yeah, you just take them over to the foundry over there in Monterey. There's a foundry." That was the one I was casting at the time. And so it's a matter of just having a perfectly finished sculpture, your model or your maquette. And mine happened to be out of ceramic. You could make them out of wood or even soap, whatever you carve, plaster, but mine are out of ceramic. And they then go to the foundry and come out. So what it starts out as a very fragile medium, being ceramic, but also very fluid, because I can take and move that clay right up until the very last moment where I go, oh, that's exactly the curve that I want. Then I let it dry, finish it, and so then it's set, but it's always set perfectly.
Man, I'm really glad that that you had one handy to show, because I'm a visual person. So when I read something, it's hard for me to visualize how something
Yeah.
works. So when you showed it, I was like, oh yeah, totally. That's totally ergonomic. That totally works.
Yeah, it's even hard. I can't even, well, when I say it was kind of a gift out of my imagination, it really was, because it wasn't like some big design idea I had. I happened to be the potter, I happened to be the sculptor, and I was in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, and it's also funny how you explained that it was something that you saw and it inspired you to make it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that you actively were
Yeah.
thinking
Yep.
about. And being an artist myself, it's funny how life around us,
Yes.
it makes its way into the work.
Right, that's correct. Yeah, we're inspired by what we see, and there's something about us that wants to be there. And obviously, with it being water and ocean and the beautiful blue, it's not. I'm not dealing in landscapes. I'm dealing in waterscapes, in a sense. And I get to be there in my imagination, and then through my hands, as well as, well, actually diving. So.
And so you've kind of told us the origin of how this happened, and so now you've gone through the years and made a lot of work. Obviously, you're established. Can you tell us a typical or not so typical day in your studio? I'm sure it's exciting.
Sure, they are exciting, and they start out like gangbusters. So I'd like to work in the morning, early. If it's dark 30, that's even better. But it's not always that that early. But boy, I'll be laying there in bed, and I'll be thinking of the next thing I'm working on, and I can hardly wait to touch it, to get back to it. And it's kind of a race to the studio. And then I like, well, this is going to sound, well, we all like to work alone, I think. There's that time where it's just us and our thoughts and our subject, and the imagination is just so inhibited. And I start working, and I've got it, when I say a good 3-4 hours, something like that, where it's just taking off, and a certain curve can just light me up. The way something flows, and I go, that's it, I know it, and then working on other aspects to it. And then if I get tired and I go, you know what, it's not fun, I'll stop. And maybe sometimes do something that's more not drudge, it's never a drudge, something more mechanical, let's put it that way. Like sometimes I'll have to make a mold, and that's just, now it's mechanical, and I can just sit down and do it. So yeah. I space it out.
Yeah, so there's a certain method to something like that. But it's funny, like you brought up a good point about being an artist, and I think people who aren't artists don't relate that we're always thinking about.
Always.
Always. It's nonstop. Sometimes it can keep you up at night just thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we're a crazy bunch.
One of the questions was about did COVID change my?
Yeah, I was asking you about that. Has your process changed since COVID?
It sped up. Yeah. We was talking with some friends, and it's kind of like I saw it as like a little glimpse or a gap in the universe where things changed, and there were more time slots that weren't filled. So I got to fill them with doing my artwork. Yeah.
So it was kind of I don't want to say a blessing, because I don't think anybody wants to be part of a pandemic, but there was some sort of positive in your life to where you're able to work a lot. So is your work included in any current exhibitions or for future exhibitions coming up?
Well, we're doing the Verge next weekend for sure, right? Yeah, we're on from Saturday 1 to 4, Saturday and Sunday. And all my secrets will come out if you want to come and see them. I'm not shy. I had a new piece come out that's we were talking about. We wanted to be positive, and it's called Esperanza, which is translated as hope. And I wonder if I should let you just tune in and see what the subject matter. No, I'll tell you. It's a beautiful flowing octopus that just has so much life and movement in it, and it actually becomes more of an abstract study in these 8 linear pieces with the kind of spherical type head on it, and it's moving. It's just moving forward. And I remember, and the excitement in working on it, I just was obsessed day in and day out on it. And anyway, Esperanza came up for the name, and it's already at the foundry. There's one here in town that we use called Frostad Artelier. It's run by Ronnie Frostad. And so it's in the process. But on Saturday and Sunday, you'll be able to see a ceramic model of it.
Awesome.
So you'll be able to see the representation.
Awesome. So I'm glad we're able to figure out, get you back on, so that way we can talk about your process and the work that you make. So is there any place where we can find out more about your artwork, and also perhaps purchase?
Sure, at dougwiley.com. Yeah, that'll come through. And we also, we do have a future show coming up. The date hasn't been set. It'll be at the Crocker Art Gallery.
Awesome.
I was hoping you'd be able to set that up for me. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't have that much pull, man.
Oh, well, who knows? You never know, right? We can dream big. But Eddie, I was kidding there, of course.
Well, thanks a lot, Doug. It was really cool. I'm glad we were able to talk. And make sure you guys go check out his tour.
Thanks.
and see the process.
Yeah. Thank you for being patient with us.
I was fine. Thanks, Doug.
Bye.